Hey everybody, good morning. It is Mike. It's Thursday, September 8th. It's 10 o'clock Chicago time, and we're going to get started here. I'm just going through a couple of last minute checks, making sure the sound is working, making sure my screen is sharing, and hopefully you can see this little robotic guy up there on the screen and you could hear me okay. So order flows and markers, right? Everybody wants to automate their trading, right? It's going to make life easier because, trading is one of those things where there is downtime. It's a lot of sitting around and, sitting on your hands waiting for the trade signal to come up. And sometimes, if you get distracted, sometimes, you're distracted, you see something pop up on your phone and you go to look and next thing you know, you've missed the trade. And, automating a signal using the tools that are available, such as markers, is going to make your life easier, right? And that's what we all want to do as traders is make our lives easier. So today it's going to be, a pretty simple, straightforward, laid back presentation on explaining markers, what it does, and how to integrate it with the order flow indicators. So brief disclaimer before we get started, what I got up here. We're all adults here. We all understand that trading involves risk and only risk capital should be used for trading and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Remember, past performance not necessarily indicative of futures results. So, like I said, trading by ourselves, right? In our little office, our home office, or, on our laptop somewhere is very lonely, right? We feel like we're enslaved to the screen and it has some side effects to it, right? And they're negative side effects. Your stress levels rise while the quality of your life declines, basically, because, if you're an active intraday trader, you want to watch what's happening in the market, right? Unless, if you're a macro trader, you don't need to automate your trading. You just sit there, laid back and, okay, yeah, I think copper is going to rally, over the next 2 months, and you're not price sensitive. But if you're an active intraday trader, you want to automate your entries, and by automating your trade entries, that takes off a lot of heavy lifting because you're not worried about, getting in late to a trade. You're not worried about missing a trade. You don't have that emotion of, oh, you know what, I just had two losers in a row, then you get a signal on the third one and you're like, I just had two losers in a row. Do I want to take it? Do I want not? And you don't take it, and then that's the trade that you get, the nice winner on. So nowadays, it's quite amazing what trading software can do to help facilitate your trading. And, I've been doing these presentations with Pablo for years now because, ever since, gosh, I don't know, the old versions of NinjaTrader, Pablo had this tool called Markers, and it made trading a lot easier, right? You can automate all of your trading, or you could automate part of it. When I first started using Markers, it was just to take the trades when they appeared, right? Now, when it comes to automating order flow, you need to be able to identify trade setups. That is why I went from the order flow chart itself into creating indicators, which are my trade setups, because a computer, the software needs a reason to buy or sell. All you're doing is you're telling the computer, this is the parameters, get in now, period. So, for example, right, delta increasing by a certain percentage over X number of bars, you need to give the computer something tangible to trade off of. And that's why, over the years, I've created delta-based indicators. The way I look at delta, imbalance-based indicators, the ways that I look at imbalance in the order flow, value-based indicators. Now, the way I analyze value, obviously there's order flow volume-based indicators, structure-based indicators, and much more. Now, soon, right, I've been talking about this with my regular users, the actual footprint that we have, the actual Orderflows Trader 5 software, we are working on a version that can be read by tools like Markers, right? Markers is sort of our benchmark that, we know that if it can run on Markers, that we're good to go. So you're going to be able to automate things like, delta divergences, prominent points of controls, exhaustion prints, things like that, that are already pre-built into the Orderflows Trader footprint chart. Now, when you look at an order flow footprint chart, right, like currently right now, you have to decide, what it is that's causing you to get into a trade, right? If you're analyzing delta. Now, you could analyze point of control, you could analyze imbalances. There's so many different ways to analyze order flow. But at the end of the day, when you're trading, right, if you want to automate it, you need to sort of indicatorize your analysis, your form of analysis. And that's why I've created tools over the years, things like Delta Scalper, right, which tell you where to buy, where to sell. That makes reading this footprint chart a lot easier, right? Then once you've taken away the level, or the layer rather, of trade entry, right? Because now you have your parameters set up that you can plug into markers to take trades. Then that leaves you more, what do you want to call it, emotional capital, psychological capital to manage the trade reading the order flow. So once you get into the trade, then you could be a trader, right? Because being a trader is making those decisions, do I let the trade run? Do I cut losses? Do I take profits early? If the market gets up to a level and doesn't quite hit it, what am I going to do? Or if I'm scaling, if I've got a multiple position on and I get out of one, but I've got a runner up here, how to move my stop up to break even, or move it up to take, a small profit, things like that, right? That is a lot of work for a trader to do. But now, by automating your signals, your trade entry, you're freeing up your brain, so to speak, to concentrate more once you're in the trade. Now, Pablo, right, he has a tool. It's called Markers Plus. And, again, it's some of you I know already have it. And because I've got a lot of comments from people over the last couple of months, say, hey, when are you guys going to do another presentation together? And, your emails, even though I couldn't give you a specific time and date, have been answered. And, that's why I'm happy to bring Pablo in today to discuss, markers, because what I'm going to talk about is using not just the order flow indicator itself, like Delta Scalper, but how to actually filter out trades using markers and to confirm what I'm seeing in there and take the trade. So I'll get into it, when it's my turn to speak. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Pablo here. So just give me a second, and I'll let Pablo go for a little while and talk about what he wants to talk about. Because you know what? Every time Pablo sends me an email with a video, I learn something new. He sent me a video the other day to watch, and I was like, you know what? Gosh, I kicked myself for not using markers this way earlier. So anyway, I'll turn it over to Pablo here, and let him speak. Hey, Pablo, should have control.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Mike. Let me discover what I need to click.
Okay.
This one. Okay. Can you see my chart?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Currently, markers is a lot more than just an automation tool. You can create your A1 signals. And even more now that Mike was commenting me that his new indicator is going to show more data from the order flow. So you can create your A1 logic. But more about that later. Because for those who have no idea what is markers, okay? Markers is everything that is inside this folder, indicator store, not everything, from here to here. The most important tools are markers copy. With markers copy, we just assign a name of a variable to any of the lines or plots that you have on the chart. For example, this is the order flow shift. This indicator has two plots, buy signal, sell signal. Usually they have none available when they are not printed, and now it has a value. That value, 3970.50, is the price where this triangle is printed. Okay, I don't care where it is printed. I am only interested in that it is printed. Okay, we have a signal. So we can copy this indicator and do something with this. Usually we just copy and execute. Okay, this is the most the simplest solution, but we can do a lot more of that. For example, if we execute all those signals, this short is against the trend. And today we were commenting, I even uploaded a video this week explaining how to do this. So I am not going to go into too much detail because there's a big video about that. But you can, for example, use the slope of this line. This line is an HMA, but it can be anything, okay? You can use the slope of this line to decide the slope is to the upside, take only longs. So this short is avoided. The slope is to the downside, take this short, and we can go this, for example. This is in the middle of nowhere. So we can say the slope, we can take the magnitude of the slope. If the slope is almost horizontal, it is no bigger than something, no less than something, we do nothing. Or we can execute. This is our decision. Here, for example, the same. This one, the slope is to the upside, we can take this long. Or here, the slope is to the upside. Why should I take this short? Even so, the short is a winner because we can get a target. But the idea is we can add more to this, and not only that, we can also define a bar pattern. For example, maybe I want to enter on a green bar after a red bar, and this is just a very simple logic that we can add. Just to avoid making this more long, let me show you something that I was commenting with Mike. You know that most of the order flow indicators need tick replay. You go to data series and you need tick replay because to calculate the parameters needed for order flow for each bar, we need tick by tick inside this bar. And the usual data for a minute bar are only 4. The open, the close, the high, and low. But this is not enough to calculate an order flow indicator. We need all the ticks and also at which time, which part of the bar they are calculated. So this takes a lot of time, and you can notice this when you reload NinjaScript, that it takes some time to calculate all of this. And even more, it is still calculating, even more if you have more than one. And this is where we may have a problem depending on the number of charts and the power of your computer. Most of the order flow indicators out there force you to use tick replay. So if you don't enable tick replay, now the refresh is finished. If you don't enable tick replay, the result of the indicator is a message that indicates that you need to enable tick replay. But on Mike's indicators, that's not true because you can turn off something like this. Turn off tick replay, and all the historical is not calculated. It is loading now. Okay, now we don't have tick replay. That means that for the historical, we are not doing an analysis. Each bar is calculated by the 4 basic points. open, high, low, and close. So it is quick and fast. So if you are trading live, this is important. I want to change the period of this line. I can double click, I can make it faster, and I don't need to wait all the calculation again. So it is fast. And I know that from the moment I do a refresh, real time, everything is calculated tick by tick. So the mic indicators are going to work. The signals are going to be printed. Even more, you can say, okay, how can I get the current trade? I am not interested in looking at 3 days ago. I am only interested in 2-day signals, and I don't want to use a tick replay. Maybe because I want to copy the signals. An example, let's say I want to copy the signals of this indicator, the order flow shift, okay? And I need to use the same parameters. So I go to, let me take a screen capture of this so I don't mess with the parameters. And now when I go to copy, markers copy, let me decrease the size of this so I can see the parameters. Now I am going to copy the two plots of the indicator. Markers copy, and for the name, go long. And I want to copy a fast signal, okay? Because I'm only interested in detect and execute, no more than that. Inside input series, I need to place the indicator I am going to copy. The indicator is this one, or any indicator that you want to automate, this. And I need to set all the parameters exactly as the one I have on the chart. And I guess they are all the same. Yes, they are all the same. I need to select also the plot. I want to copy the long. Okay. And also important, the indicator I want to copy, how it works. It works at each tick. So I need to copy in the same way. So I copy on each tick. When I click on OK, it is fast. Nothing is printed because it is not taking the time needed to calculate because I don't have tick replay enabled. And this is something important because if you have the original indicator and then you have the copy of the longs and you have the copy of the shorts, then you are calculating the logic of the indicator 3 times. One for the original, one for the longs, another for the shorts. So it is taking 3 times the standard time. And that may be a lot. So not using tick replay is okay for trading live if you want to do a quick change. The problem is how can I know that it is doing what I want? And here is a quick tip. If you are maybe, if you don't have too much time, you can disconnect, connect to playback, and go to now, go to today. So let's go to, you can click on go to now, today, and my local time is, what time it is in my computer, 12:20. PM, no? Or yes, PM. And this is today. Yes, today. Okay. So this is what we had previously. Again, tick replay is off, not tick replay. So when I reload Ninja Script or when I click here, Nothing is calculated tick by tick. But on playback, we have an option that instead of playback from the selected time, we can playback from the start of the day here. What's the difference? I can click on go to, don't change nothing. So the same time, the time is the same, but I click on OK. So all the day is played back real time, tick by tick. And voila, you get the signals. Because this is what happens real time. Real time, everything is calculated tick by tick. Now let me see if we can see the copies, because where I have it here. I am not sure if you can see, but let me magnify this here. Can you see the triangle is from Mike's indicator? This little dot is the copy. So this is the way we have to verify that what I copy is what I get. I can select, right click, copy, and select, clicking anywhere, right click and paste. So now I have two copies, copying exactly the same, so they are overlapped. Both are the same. Now we can convert the second copy to the short. Go short, and the copied indicator is the same with all the same parameters. So I don't need to check one by one because it is a copy. I only need to change the signal. Okay. And just to make it different, we can change the color, make it red. We can make it bigger so we can see it more easily. The same for the longs. And again, when I click on OK, everything is gone. So I don't have a way to verify what are we doing. But no problem, because we can right click, go to with this option selected, playback the current day. Go to OK. And then we have a playback. Here we can see that we get the signals and also the dots. So that means that what we copy is what we want. No problem. And using this method, you don't need to have tick replay enabled. You can verify quickly that your setup is working. Turn off playback, go to live. Of course, the historical signals are removed, but you are sure that what you get is what you want, okay? On that video I was mentioning before, I am going to share with you the link. I also explain how to add more logic, because maybe I don't want to execute all the signals as they are. Maybe I want to add a filter, or maybe I want to detect a bar pattern. A bar pattern could be, for example, this signal happens on 2 red bars after a green bar. How can I detect 2 red bars after a green bar with just the markers logic? Let me know, Mike, if I am going too far. I don't want to use
No, it's
too
fine.
much of your time. Okay.
It's fine.
So let's say that we want to detect this bar pattern: green, red, red. So you can add that bar pattern to your signals. So first, detect the bar pattern. With the logic, we can say that the current bar is green. The current bar is red. So the close is below the open. But the previous bar was also red. So the close 1 bar ago is also below the open. But at the beginning of the bar pattern, I have a green bar. So 2 bars ago, the close was greater than the open. With only this logic, I am just detecting a bar pattern. I am not taking into account if this is a flow shift signal or not. So let's paint a signal in red and just that. Now the logic is going to calculate when I have a green, red, red, green, red, red, green, red, red, and then I can use this as a filter on markers for the original signals. Example, when I add markers, this is a beta, sorry, the last available release is 2021. I am just about to release the version for this year, but this is beta, in beta version. Okay, fast signal mode, trading go long and go short. And I can add a filter here. Where is the filter? Here. Where I can type exactly the same formula, or I can type the result of this formula. In my opinion, it is easier to just copy all this. This should be the filter for a short. So I can copy and paste on the short side, no? This is one of the options. Another option is to make this logic to create a variable. For example, filters. Okay. So this is the result of my filter, this histogram. And now I can use these filters, this, copy, and place it on my filter. So it is simpler. Just that. Okay. So when this is true, I am executing the signals. When it is not true, it is doing nothing. The result needs to be, market needs to be playing so we can get the result of the filter. Okay, I need to do a reload because I am at the end of my playback. I selected as end time the end of my playback, so I cannot click play after that because this is the end of my data stream. Okay, here we are, and shorts are disabled because the condition is not true. If we were here, for example, here, shorts should be enabled. Okay, this is an example, and this is working as you can see it now. The only problem is we get all the signals printed. All of them are printed, but markers is deciding if filtering the signals or not. This is useful if you want to have the option to turn on or off the filter. But if you want to filter always the signals, then you can set everything inside the logic. For example, now if I want to paint these signals when I also have a short flow shift signal, then I can join one and the other. So on the copies, instead of doing a copy as a fast signal, I need to copy as a variable because I need to calculate something else. So I copy no longer as a fast signal. And so now go long and go short are variables. And the value of those variables are the price where the signal is printed. And now on the logic, I can say, and also go short on the current bar is not equal to 0 or greater than 0. I don't need the filter now in this version. And when this is true, create a fast signal, go short. So now the fast signal is created by the logic, and the logic is looking at the result of mic indicators and also your bar pattern or whatever your filter. Again, if I click on OK, nothing is going to be true because I don't have tick replay enabled. You can enable tick replay, but take into account the time it is going to take. And also something important, let me show you. That time that the indicator takes to calculate may be bigger than 5 seconds. Okay, all markers indicators have a timeout. So if the time to calculate is bigger than this is 5 seconds, 5,000 milliseconds. If it takes more than 5 seconds, the result is false. So nothing is printed. If you need to increase the time, you can make, I don't know, 100 seconds is 100,000 milliseconds, okay? The only problem is if you make a mistake on one of these variables, it is going to wait those 100 seconds to just showing variable not found, okay? Anyway, using this method, we are not using tick replay. It is not taking nothing to calculate this because we are working real time. Now, let's see if it is working real time. Okay, go to, okay. This one. Here we have a flow shift signal, and it looks like the only one. This is the only flow shift short signal where I also have a bar pattern, not this one. No, because this is not red. This is a doji. And this is just the top of the iceberg because you can do a lot of things with this. I don't know if there is any question or you have any other question about this. Let me
Yeah, I
know.
got a question. So for like, if you're using the logic, right, you just created that one for shorts. So for longs, you'd have to add another one for longs. Is that correct?
Yes, for example, the
Okay.
easiest way is copy and paste because
Right.
the logic is very simple. So I have a signal here, so you can select, right click, copy, click
Okay.
anywhere, right click and paste. Now I have two signals. The second one is not printed because it is calculated historical,
Hmm.
but anyway, it is going to work. And now I just replace the logic. On the second logic, this one, instead of go short, it is go long, the name of the fast signal. Instead of painting in red, we can paint in blue. The logic is that your signal, go long, is greater than 0. It exists. Greater than 0 means that it exists. And also the bar pattern is in the other direction. So the current bar is green, the previous bar is also green, and the beginning is less. And that's all, no? Yes, I
Yeah.
guess it is. That's all.
Okay. And you said this version right now is in beta, right? So,
No, 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 no. What I am showing now, it is it is
oh, this is
present
on the,
from,
yeah, this is on
yes.
the, but your version that you're running is still, but this is
I,
available
I, I
on the,
am, I
it's available on the
am,
current version, but yeah.
yeah, I am not showing new features.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, guys. So, that was pretty cool. It's like like Pablo said, it's just the tip of the iceberg of, the analysis that you can add to, one of my indicators or any other indicator that you're using. And, just sort of to go back to what he was talking about, the tick replay, right? You know that like my Yeah, in NinjaTrader 7 to NinjaTrader 8, the big shift was in the way NinjaTrader handles data sort of, on the back end, ways that we don't see. And tick data was the way to get the historical data for, order flow plotted correctly, because, the problem with NinjaTrader 7, every time you load a chart, with an order flow based indicator, you sometimes get different signals. But allowing you to do back testing, with the order flow based indicator, you would use tick replay. But if you're trading in real time, the way that my indicators work is you actually don't need that tick replay, because sometimes people say, well, tick replay slows down their machine. Sometimes, people have older processors or things like that, and running tick replay, you know, especially on markets like NASDAQ, right, if you're trying to load a chart, there's so much data, it can take time. But if you want to, if you're trading in real time, you don't need to have tick replay enabled on your chart. That my software, my indicators will read the data that's coming in correctly and plot, starting from the time you open up your chart. So, I sort of forgot about that until Pablo reminded me, because to be honest, I'm so used to using tick replay because, for myself, sometimes I get a little sidetracked, during the day. I want to open up another chart and, look at something and say, nowadays the markets aren't that quiet, but, say I want to look at, a British pound chart. I'm so used to using tick replay to look at, has there been movement? Has there been anything interesting in the order flow that day? But as far as trading in real time, you don't need to have tick replay enabled. So that was a nice reminder. Honestly, I sort of forgot about that. But Pablo, I'm going to take the screen back, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. So, Pablo talked about a couple of things, detect bar patterns. And, for example, the green bar followed by two red bars. Honestly, I didn't realize how strong that was. Just looking at the chart, I saw a lot of signals on that. So you imagine you could add, bar patterns as a filter. You could, you know, do crossovers between two indicators. Maybe, say you want to this moving average and that moving average, along with, order flow or VWAP. Say, we're trading above, say this VWAP crosses, today's VWAP crosses yesterday's VWAP, and, you're looking for trades in that direction, or use the slope of the line as a filter for longs and shorts. And, basically what that means is, when don't get think you're going to be doing, geometry or anything. Oh, I got to figure out the slope of the line. No, basically, if say you have a, an average, like a moving average, or, HMA, the whole moving average, which is a nice one to use. You're only going to take shorts in the direction that price is moving. So, if, or rather the HMA is moving. So say you only want to take shorts if it's moving down, and take longs if it's moving up. So you can do that, right? So you can add filters to the order flow signal, right? And, that can filter out trades that, you probably don't want to be taking. Say we're in a sideways market. We all know that if the market is going sideways, trying to take trades, you're going to get chopped up. You want to be taking trades, going in the direction of the market movement. I love to try and, find these turning points in the market, but oftentimes they're going to come after a move down and a move starts going up. But after a move starts going up, you have a trend. Oftentimes it could go sideways, and you don't have that movement down. And sometimes, you could be sitting in a consolidation period for a while and not even knowing it until, afterwards, and you're taking trade after trade and getting stopped out. So when you're trading automated, right, for me, there's two types, right? There's fully automated, trade entry, trade exit, partially automated, trade entry, and you manage the trade, right? And decide where to get out. Now, trading, right? Even automated trading, it's a job, and you got to treat it like that. You got to realize there's work that you have to do, right? Now, you won't be glued to your screen, but that doesn't mean that, there's no work for you to do, right? You still got to, run your tests and see, what works for you, your risk level, things like that. Um, what kind of trader you are. Like for me, okay, I'm a hands-on guy, right? I read the order flow and I use a tool, markers, to help me with the trade entry, because sometimes, especially, if I'm talking to somebody and I'm trading, something's happening in one market I'm not necessarily paying attention to. If you could automate that, it gives you that extra advantage of still being in the trade rather than missing it. When I used to have my live trading room years ago, you know, everyone wants to be entertained. So you'd find yourself talking all the time, and I'd be talking about British pound, and I'm missing the move in the mini Dow. It's just unfortunate like that. But having a tool like markers, if I look away from the screen, at least I'm in the trade when it happens. So after I'm in the trade, then it's got my attention. Then I can start watching, do I stay in the trade? Do I, cut my loss, or, do I let this, is the order flow very bullish if I'm long? Do I stay in longer? And, having a tool to get you in the trade is half the battle, right? They say in life, 90% of life is just showing up, and the same thing is in trading. I say at least half of trading is just taking the trade. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go through an example here with, this is the Delta Scalper, and the setup is, it's very easy. I have it already set up. Actually, I've got the slides here. I mean, I could go through it, but it really just takes a few seconds. You're just adding markers. I'll have all this. When I send out the replay, I'm going to send out the sheet that goes along with it so you can see. But I'm just going to put it up here, and just in case you're watching the screen, you can just screenshot all this. Now, when it gets to the indicator, right, I have it highlighted here. So when I say flow shifts, if you're using flow shifts like Pablo is using, or you're using Delta Scalper, you can, you just choose the indicator. Okay, so it's interchangeable. It doesn't matter if you're using, Delta Scalper or turns or price rejector, um, or any of the other indicators. You just choose that one instead of choosing the one that's highlighted here. Okay, and with markers copy, you got to set one up for the buy, one up for the sell. And when it gets to adding the filter, okay, what I'm using is, a long filter and a short filter based off of the HMA, the whole moving average. And the important thing to keep in mind is you have to have sort of that equation, right? The filter of the bar before is greater, or say the current bar is greater than the bar before, and for the opposite for shorts is this, right? So, but again, I'm going to send you this so that you have a copy of it, okay? Because it's one thing to watch it. I mean, I could go through it, but it would take some time. But I've got it all set up here, ready to go. Now, some of the important things to remember is, when you're first starting out using markers, you know, it gives you a chance to play around with, sort of your different ATMs that you want to use for the market that you're trading. So for example, right, I have this one. This is a 3-lot, because this is S&P, so this is 3 lots. The first target is 16 ticks, stop loss at 8, and that's for 2 contracts. The second target is, a little bit more of a runner. Stop loss is still the same. The target, though, this time is 24. And so it's 2 and 1, right? Total of 3. Now, again, you don't have to, you could set up whatever you want, right? Say I could have just one contract with a stop loss of 8 to take profit of 16, or, 8 and 12, or 8 and 14. It's up to you. Now, do keep in mind, with the markets nowadays, the night session obviously is much more quieter than the day session. You do get nice movements in the overnight. If you're running something like this, and eight ticks overnight is okay, but during the day you get stopped out really quick, right? So you probably want to have a little bit wider stops, but at the same time, the moves are a bit bigger during the day, so you could have a wider take profit. But again, that's going to come down to your testing, and also depends on the type of chart that you're using, because a 1 minute chart trades differently than a 4 range chart, than an 8 range chart, or than a 100 tick chart. So you got to put in that legwork. But trust me, once you put in that legwork, it really becomes worthwhile to you. So let me make sure I got this on here, and I'll just start running through it here. What do I got? My speed. This is just, well, we're starting the roll today, so honestly, this is the September contract. I just downloaded the data for the last 2 days. So you see, it gets me into the trade automatically right here, right? It didn't take the short because this line, this HMA, is trending up, right? Now, again, you don't have to use an HMA. You could use whatever line you like. Maybe you want to use, there are tools out there for, I haven't gotten that far yet, but using a cumulative delta, what's cumulative delta doing? Is it going up or down? Or I know some people like to even, I think there's a point of control average out there, because if you're looking at a footprint, right, you can see, is cumulative delta going up? Maybe I only want to take trades if cumulative delta is rising relative to the previous ones, or point of controls are rising. That's something that hopefully, we'll be rolling out me at Orderflows, in the near future. So if I'm trading this, okay, so let me just turn it back on, right? I could run it on the normal bar chart, right? And then if I'm just watching my footprint chart, the same trades will show up. I could still manage it from this chart. So like if I see, something in the order flow that I don't like, and I'm still in the profit, I could cut it. Or, if maybe the market is just sort of going sideways like it is, I could cut it, take a small profit. Or, if nothing's happened, just let it run, right? Again, so what do I got? This is, this is a 3-lot setup. It's the stop of 2 ticks. So you can see now here, back to profit, back to break even. I took the loss. Okay, it stopped me out. But if I saw the market was just going sideways all that time, maybe I would be a bit interested in cutting the trade, right? So this, I like to manage it. I don't like to have things set and forget. That's just me. So like, here I've seen, oh, it just keeps hitting, coming within a tick of my target, and it's not quite getting it. I could sit there and say, what do I want to do? Do I want to adjust the limit or not? So like in this case here, okay, I got filled on 2. I've still got 1 lot on as a runner. That the take profit, right, is down at the bottom here, right? But we're just sort of hanging around here, right? I do have a stop up here. This is my entry. After a certain amount of time, I can decide, do I still want to be in it, or, I'm not getting paid. What am I going to do? Do I cut it? Here, it cut it automatically because it had another signal. But, you don't always have those those chances to take that. So you can see, at this point, so far today, it's okay. It's $87. Let me speed things up here. But again, that's the beauty of it is, you can still use, whoops, you can still use your order flow chart and, take the trade. So let the computer take the trades for you, and you just manage it, right? So it's like, here I got some stop outs, right? I mean, again, this is 2 in the morning. So, it is what it is at this time. So I mean, right now I'm underwater 150 bucks so far. And okay, but trading is not one trade. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. But I know that I have, my stop is 8 ticks. My first take profit is double that, so it's 2 to 1. Then I even got that other runner, which is 4 to 1. But the beauty is, let the I could let the runner, I could cut it shorter, or I could even let it run further. It's a bit of, I'll say a free trade, but it's something that you can work with. So, I mean, you can see, at this point, it's, what, 3 in the morning. This is, I forgot what day this was, on the 5th or the 6th rather. It's on the 6th at 3 in the morning. You know, I mean, this is, I don't want you thinking that this is what it's like every single morning, but it's, it's up $1,500 on trading 3 contracts with that parameter. I do have other stops, ATMs rather, 8 tick with 14 tick take profit. And, it's also pretty consistent. So, you can see, right now, what time is it? 4 in the morning. I just had I got stopped out down at the bottom here. I'm sort of running this a bit fast, but again, I want you to sort of see what you can do, right? So I'm in this position. Finally, it went up there, went for the take profit. But again, this is with Delta Scalper, right? There's a lot of other indicators that I have that run with markers. Okay, and again, the setup is pretty simple, right? I showed you that template on the slides, and I'll send that out, later. And when I post the replay up, I'll have it in the description of the video so that you can take advantage of it. But you can see nothing's happening right here. Okay, right now there's no trades, but it's only taking longs if this line is sloping up, and taking shorts if the line is sloping down. Okay, so it hit the first target, right? So this is interesting, right? It hit the first target right here. My entry is 47, right? I got my buy stop up here at 49. This is what I talk about, being able to manage the trade. If it's just hanging around here, right, it made a run towards my take profit, didn't quite hit my target on the runner trade, didn't quite hit it, right? It got within a half a point, 41 and a half. It's down here at 41, and then just sort of hanging around here. I don't need to leave this stop up at at 49. I could move it down to the break even level, right? That's the beauty of automation, gets you in the trade, but then you can still trade, do your job as a trader, and just and let it go, right? So at worst case, you just break even on that one contract. So there, it went up, it stopped me out, but I broke even, right? I didn't take a loss because we didn't hit my take profit. So you're seeing, right? It's similar there, right? It didn't, it just stopped me out there. That's one of the things as traders that discourage traders a lot is, a trade is in your favor and then it turns around and stops you out when, potentially you could have gotten out at a much more desirable price. So here we're coming into the day session. This is what the P&L is running so far for the day. But again, it's 3 lots on the bigs, or not bigs, but 3 lots on the E-minis, the normal contract. There's the cash open, so it just reversed right back up. See, this is what I'm talking about, right? During the cash, once the cash market opens, the volatility in the bar picks up. So, if you're using a tight stop, for the overnight session, when you get into the day session, due to the volatility picking up, you can probably get stopped out more often. So, you may want to adjust that. What if you're trading night session into the day, adjust your stop out to take that into account. So you can see, right, even though I got a long signal here, it's not taking that long because the line is sloping down, right? This long here, it didn't take, the line is sloping down. These shorts, it didn't take, 1, 2, 3, because the line is sloping up. But again, like Pablo said, that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's, Pablo was showing you how to set it up using bar patterns, right? So, if you only want to take, longs after a certain, bar pattern, red, green, green, or green, red, red, you could add that further filter. And of course, test it out thoroughly before you, turn it loose. But, that's the beauty of it. Okay. So, again, whether you're using the stratum, delta scalper, flow, bounce, all these indicators, right? You could add, extra filters in there to help refine your trading, and that's why we got together today, is because I know some people were just using this, using markers just as a way to enter the trade based on the signal, right? But so I want to do this to show you, take it a little step further. Now I know some of you guys are already doing it, but for those that aren't, hopefully you guys can, um, have picked something up here. So anyway, guys, I'll just stop this for now. What time? It's like 10 in the morning. That's the profit, whatever. But again, I don't want to run too late on this here. But yes, Deborah asked, does this work on your new stratum indicator? It does. It does. And again, Deborah, I'm going to post this. This is the flow shifts setup, right? On how I have it here, right? I ran through the slides. I'm going to post it here, but all you'd have to do, wherever it says flow shifts on here, you just use the stratum on there. But again, I don't want to go on too long because it's already almost 11 o'clock. I will create a separate video and send it out when I send out the replay, just to show you the setup on it as well. But honestly, it's really very, very simple. I mean, all you really have to do, screw it, I still got, it doesn't take that long, so, I'll do it really quick here. So I'm not going to use the tick replay in this instance. Now, I got nothing loaded on here, so all I'm going to do is, okay, so I got to add stratum. And, for this example, I'll use, this is the settings I'm going to use, okay? So just magnitude level of 1. I'm going to turn off, that's it, just 1. This one doesn't have that many settings. Now all I got to do is add on markers copy, markers the force. If you want to add an HMA, you can. Let's take you through that. Again, I don't like this goldenrod color. I think that's an ugly color. So I'll change that, and I'll have to add on another copy here. This one's going to be for the HMA. So again, really simple. So first one, right, this is going to be for my long signal for stratum, longs, I'll call it. Enable fast signal, go in here, enable, find the indicator, stratum, same settings, just 1. This is the buy signal, so I'll leave that there. Now, how you want it to plot, I like to keep it the same. Pablo was showing you how to use the dot if you want to copy things, but just keep it simple here. I'll keep it blue, triangle up, 8 I think is what I use. Now for the cells, just really quick. So we're going to change the marker's name variable to shorts, because it's the cell. Again, you could have whatever variable name you want, say, stratum shorts. Can fast signal. Now go back in here. Now I got to enable the cells, short trades. Turn that off. Change the plot down here at the bottom from buy signal to sell signal. Click OK. And to on each tick. And I'll change this from blue to red. Triangle down. Yeah, let's keep it the same. I like to keep it the same. Now go into markers, the force. Well, these you'll change. You could change from in here. So I'll just make it auto, and I'll enable fast signals here. Okay, for now I'll enable longs and shorts. And so my fast signal name was longs. Fast signal name was shorts. Longs and longs. Okay, 500 max profit, max loss. I'll change to 5,000. These are E-minis. If you're on micros, 500 is probably okay. And basically that's it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the filter in here. Okay, I'll come back to this in a second. So this is my HMA, but I'm not using a 14. I'm using a 50 period. Okay, so I'm going to go in here to copy and change the input series to HMA. Okay, that's mama. I don't have my glasses here. Change that back to 50. Okay. And again, I just like to keep it the same, navy, and it's a line. And I could keep that on bar close. Let me just make sure here. See on here on the filters. So make sure you add the filter, right? That's going back into this part in here. So we're going to add the filter conditions in here. I pulled that up because I need to copy that. This is the important thing here. So condition 1 for longs, right? It's going to be there. Click OK. Condition 2 for the shorts. Okay, get my page back. Right in here. Control, just copy it in there. Okay, so make sure that's ticked there. And that's it. So see, that took all of about 3 minutes to do. Let me see here, some other questions. Can you send out a video on how to stack signals, 2 or 3 signals with X number of bars? Okay. Where are we here? Yeah, Manuel, you ask, he asked, will the market software work with the Orderflows trader software where none of the indicators drawn on the chart? That is something that we're working on for the new version of Orderflows trader. Make these things, right? There's a lot of stuff in here on the Orderflows trader, the footprint chart. We are making all these things like the tail, buying and selling tails, delta divergence, exhaustion prints, imbalance reversals, market weakness, market sweeps, sequencing, etc. We are working on a version of Orderflows Trader to make all of this readable in markers. Let's see this other question here. So a couple more questions. Just bear with me here. Trying to open up the box. Deborah asks, do you use it daily? Yeah, it's one of these things. What is the best indicator? Well, there's different indicators out there, right? Some read delta, some read point of control, and different markers. Different markets. Certain indicators work better on. It's kind of a long question here. How many charts can be traded simultaneously? It's up to you. But I do find that. So you gotta make sure you have a good computer. For some reason, people sometimes their computers are a bit old. and they got a lot of other things running on it. For me, I just use a trading PC where it's just the trading stuff, but still some people, they like to visit Facebook on their trading computer and stuff. And the next thing they know, it's got all these things. But, for me, I think you can get away with at least, in my experience, by 5, 10 different markets. You don't want to overwhelm yourself because next thing you know, you're going to have trades going off left and right, and you still want to be able to manage it. It's one of those things where you know everyone thinks, oh, automated trading is so fantastic. It's the way of the future, but at the same time, it does require some babysitting. So just bear that in mind. Um, can it do limit price? Yeah, there's different ways to enter. I'm sure that would be a whole nother video. Um, and can markers be used with all indicators? Yeah, you could set it up with all these other indicators, that, well, not all of them, but most of these other indicators that are available in NinjaTrader, and you can just reach out to Pablo for that. Is the Stratum indicator like the Markers Plus? No, it's an indicator. Markers Plus reads the indicator output and takes the trades. Jamal, I'm interested in your order flow turn pulse package. If I want to take just them, which do you prefer? Well, pulse and turns. Pulse reads the momentum in the market. Turns reads for support and resistance. So, they're complementary tools. This work with Orderflows Trader. Well, again, I sort of covered that on the next version of Orderflows Trader. Kishab, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Says I signed up for your offer from the past webinar, but not received the link to follow through. Please help. I'm not sure if you sent it to me or sent it to Pablo, but please resend. And yeah, guys. So anyway, that's all. Does Orderflow 5? That was the last question. Does Orderflow 5 have all your indicators? Those are available individually. So the individual indicators read different things that's not available on the Orderflows Trader 5. I mean, the only what the indicator does, right, is it performs the analysis that normally I would do using what I'm seeing on this chart here, based off of what I'm seeing, signals in here, like, based on the value area or, how I would read the delta, things like that, So what an individual indicator does is it reads the order flow for you as opposed to the footprint chart, which just presents the order flow for you. Now we do have some tools that, can make it easier. Like this here is a very bullish point of control. Okay. So, on the new version, when it's available, no promises that it's going to come out this month, but it will signal, this is, for me, this is like an automated, almost an automatic trade if things, if the follow through order flow works. So, being able to trade a signal like this here is something that I want to do. And that's what the new version is going to do. So, the individual indicators are based on things that aren't necessarily visible, or I'll say visible, but don't show. You'd have to do the analysis yourself on the footprint chart to get those signals, basically is what I'm saying. So anyway, guys, in the chat, I've put the link for Pablo's website, the indicator store, and I put a link to my website, orderflows.com. These are tools that as a trader you need, right? I mean, don't believe these stories of, oh yeah, I started with $100 and I turned it into $10,000 trading. Be realistic, people. Unfortunately, there is an investment involved in trading. I mean, obviously, you need money for trading, and sometimes it bothers me sometimes because I get messages from people saying I don't have money to afford trading software can give it to me for free. Well, you know, show some initiative, right? Get a job. I mean, shit, man. I mean, there's so many job openings now, apparently, and I wish I was a teenager now. I mean, you see, you could go work at Target and get paid like 18 bucks an hour or something. Um, I wish I was young again, but I'm not. So anyway, guys, thanks for coming out today. I said I'll get the replay out this afternoon, and I'll shoot a quick video again on how to sort of take the steps through setting up markers with copy and adding in a filter. Now, I got to warn you, okay, it does take some effort on your part. If you're new to markers, it may take you a couple tries to sort of get the hang of it. Right? It took me a few tries in the past to get a hang of it, but once I understood what I was doing, you saw how easy it was for me. It just took like a minute, just a lot of clicking to, add this, add that, set this, set that. It's just, it's a process. And, the first time you do it, it will be slow, but it's not like that once you pick it up and you understand. I mean, obviously for Pablo, he's a creator. For him, it's very easy. But for me, it did, the first time, it did take some time to make sure, I did it correctly. And then obviously, make sure it's running correctly and you're doing it correctly before you turn it loose. So Pablo, thanks for taking the time out today. I learned something, and I've got to get the new version when it comes out. So everybody, thanks for your time and enjoy. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy your weekend.